ולרעיון שערכנו לפני זמן קצר עם בן רודס, עוזרו הקרוב של הנשיא אובמה, מי שהיה בסוד המגעים עם איראן וגם בסוד מערכת היחסים בין אובמה לנתניהו. הנה השיחה. Ben Rhodes, Deputy National Security Advisor for Strategic Communication. Thank you for talking to us today, Ben.
Good to be with you, Unit.
I'd like to start with a question many Israelis are asking themselves. Iran finances terror all over the world. It calls for the destruction of the U.S. and Israel. This is Iran's behavior while living under crippling sanctions and during negotiations with world powers. So what makes you think they'll suddenly become the local nice guy when it comes to their nuclear program? Isn't that somewhat naive?
Well, we don't think that they're going to become the local nice guy in any way, Unit. The question is, are they going to be supported in all that behavior in the region, backed by a nuclear weapons capability that is unchecked and that we can't inspect and verify? Or can we get a nuclear deal that puts significant constraints and limitations on their nuclear program and gets unprecedented verification and transparency measures in place?
But if Iran gets to keep all of its facilities, all of its centrifuges, some of them will be stored and subject to supervision, but the infrastructure remains intact and remains in Iran. Isn't that problematic?
Well, first of all, Unit, they're making significant changes to their program. So their Iraq reactor will not be able to produce weapons-grade plutonium, and they'll ship the spent fuel out of the country. Their Fordo facility will be converted for a new purpose so that they're not enriching uranium at that facility. They will bring down their installed centrifuges by about 2/3, and those centrifuges that are taken out will be under IAEA supervision, so they won't be able to use them to pursue a nuclear weapon. So there are significant limitations on the nuclear program, and with inspections, if they break the deal, we'll know very quickly, and then we'll be able to make decisions about what to do.
I want to try and understand the issue of sanctions. Will the sanction relief be immediate or gradual? You and Iran don't seem to agree on that very crucial aspect.
Well, there are two types of sanctions. One are the U.S. sanctions, which have obviously been the ones that have been particularly biting on the Iranian economy. Those will be phased in response to Iranian performance. When they do certain activities, they'll get sanctions relief, and we'll have the ability to snap those back into place if the Iranians don't comply. The second are the UN Security Council resolutions, the multilateral sanctions regime. And what we're going to be doing, Yonit, is taking a number of UN Security Council resolutions and replacing that with a new architecture that does preserve some of the sanctions. We're particularly focused on areas like Iran's ability to access sensitive technologies, its ballistic missile program, and preserves the ability to snap those sanctions back into place if the Iranians don't comply with the terms of the deal. Iran has to earn the relief. We want to preserve sanctions on non-nuclear related elements, and we want to be able to snap the sanctions back into place if the Iranians don't comply.
But you talk again and again about snapping the sanctions back into place. Is that realistic? Is there really a mechanism in place for reinstating sanctions if Iran violates the agreement?
Well, with the U.S. sanctions, it's very simple. We will be providing sanctions relief using the president's waiver authorities that are built into our sanctions legislation, which he can turn on or turn off based on compliance.
Are you then willing to state that the military option remains on the table during the implementation period of this agreement?
Certainly, if Iran violates an agreement, all options are on the table. And just generally speaking, the United States can make its own decisions, right? So we certainly believe that the President of the United States, whether it's this president or the next president, will have all options on the table related to Iran, including military options. Again, we believe that it's best, frankly, if we don't have to exercise that option and Iran complies with this type of good, comprehensive deal. But certainly if there was a violation, we'd have all options to consider in response to a violation.
The final agreement is expected to last 10 to 15 years. When that time is over, what do you expect will happen? Won't Iran be able to manufacture a nuclear bomb then?
No. Iran will never be permitted to build a nuclear weapon, even 15, 20 years after elements of the deal have expired. They'll still have a prohibition and will have better inspections to detect if they are seeking to violate their NPT obligations.
Prime Minister Netanyahu says this is a bad deal. He says the alternative is not war, but a better deal. What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, Yonit, we've been negotiating for well over a year because we weren't going to take a bad deal. We had one extension in July and another in November because the terms that are on the table were not good enough for us. So this is not a case where we just wanted a deal at any cost. We held out for the deal that met our core objectives. The second thing I'd say is if we were to leave the negotiating table now and move to additional sanctions, Number one, Iran has always advanced its nuclear program when we have pivoted to sanctions. If they're advancing their nuclear program from a position of a 2 to 3 month breakout timeline, that time could evaporate pretty quickly. Number two, the international sanctions coalition is invested in these negotiations. If we pull out now, our ability to rally the world with us to continue to impose these sanctions could be compromised.
The president spoke to Thomas Friedman of the New York Times. He said it was personally difficult for him to hear expressions that he somehow hasn't done everything he could for the security of Israel. It sounds like the president is insulted by the prime minister's approach.
Well, I think that it's not so much being insulted by the prime minister's approach. Look, they have a substantive policy difference as it relates to Iran. I think in the environment around those differences, you've heard allegations made against the president that he doesn't support Israel. And the fact is, Yonit, you've sat down with the president twice. I think you've looked in his eye and you've seen someone who has a deep understanding of Israel and its history and the Jewish people's commitment to Israel. Frankly, the last thing I'd say, Yonit, is he's approaching these issues because he believes this is the best way to solve challenges for U.S. and Israeli security. He believes a diplomatic resolution to the Iranian nuclear issue is the best way to secure a future for the region in which Iran does not have a nuclear weapon.
Ben, the relationship between two leaders is strenuous at best. Now that Netanyahu has been reelected, will he be invited to Washington for an official visit anytime soon?
Well, we haven't extended any invitations yet, but absolutely we'd expect that once there's an Israeli government formed, that there will certainly be occasion for the two of them to meet in Washington going forward. Again, we haven't set a date. We haven't extended an invitation. We want to let the Israeli government formation process conclude, but they've spoken on the phone at length. They'll continue to speak, and look, they have differences, right? When they pick up the phone, they talk to each other. They have exactly the type of conversations that you'd expect of two leaders who've had these type of disagreements. But they had the conversation, right? And they talk about areas where we can cooperate, even when we have areas that we're going to disagree on.
Ben Rhodes, we really appreciate you talking to us today. Thank you, Ben.
Talking to you too, Yonit, and I hope you had a good holiday over the last couple of days.
We ate a lot of matzah.
Yeah, so did I.
Thank you.